So how do you position, how would sellers position themselves and to sell their properties? And because we have a very low inventory, and here's one of the biggest questions that they have, or concerned that if they do put their house on the market, now they won't be able to find a house for themselves since there's low inventory and the concerns of that interest rate.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern, and it's part of the planning that we look at. So, one of the most common things that we have when somebody is selling to buy something new is how can, one, can the new financing be structured where you don't have to include that sale, right? Where the the home buyer who's selling their home has the flexibility to purchase the new home without selling their current. And usually that comes down to one, the carrying expense of both properties, but two, also the down payment, right? A lot of sellers are planning on taking, the equity that they built in the house that they own and putting it towards the new house, right? And that's one of the other great things about buying a home, right? You're building equity in there, you're paying down your balance, your value's going up year over year historically, right? We can't say that it's going to be the same every year.
Yeah.
We've had some great years, over the last decade with home appreciation, uh, but most owners right now have a good amount of equity in that house, and it makes it more justifiable for them to go to the move up house, right? Go to the house that maybe cost them another $300,000 because they've built up that wealth in the current property. So we're always going to look at options to eliminate that sales contingency because that adds pressure to getting an
Yeah.
offer accepted, but it also adds pressure for the seller, right? A lot of people don't want to necessarily close on their house and have to move same day.
Yeah.
The nice thing about us being a direct lender for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, the Veterans Administration, and servicing our loans is that we are able to offer things like recasts on the mortgage. So we've had buyers who have closed on their new house. They've leveraged the financing. Primary residence, we can lend up to 95% on a conventional mortgage. And then after they close on the new house, they've sold their current house and they take that money and they make a lump sum payment down. We'll actually recalculate the payment for them. So that financing is the same as if they would have sold simultaneously at the end of the day. So that's one option we look at. It's not available for everybody, right? Because that borrower has to be able to carry the expense of both properties, and some borrowers can't do that. The good news for the borrowers who can't do that is that it is still a seller's market, right? There's not
Yeah.
a lot of inventory. There's still a very big buyer pool.
Mhm.
It allows the sellers to dictate the terms of their sale. So we have a ton of long-term contracts right now. We have
Yeah.
accepted offers that we know the closing is not going to occur until August. It's April 12th. I've probably got
Mhm.
4 or 5 contracts in that we know that we are not closing until August. We have our files approved. We pretty much are ready for closing on our end, but that's allowing those sellers to go out and put the offers in and say, hey, yeah, I'm selling my house, but I can close tomorrow on the house.
Yeah.
So anybody who is thinking about selling and buying, they're concerned about inventory. You do have a lot of control over the buyer you choose. You could dictate the terms, right? You could say, you might have 2 different offers. You say to one offer, hey, listen, I need flexibility until August or September because I'm worried about finding something. One of those buyers is going to say yes. Probably both of them will. Probably both of
Yeah.
them will give you that kind of flexibility. So, right now, you probably want to be a little bit more careful with the offer you accept in scenarios like that. You want to make sure that it's a lender who can lock in an interest rate. So, our contracts, we have the ability to lock for 120 days. Every rate we quote is 105 days of lock coverage, just because that's how contracts are 90 days here, sometimes a little
Mhm.
bit longer. So we want to make sure we can cover the full length of the lock. But right now, there's probably deals out there where buyers don't qualify anymore if they went into contract a month ago or 2 months ago and they haven't locked in their interest rate. So as a seller, you want to be very careful with that. You want to make sure that you're asking the right questions. One of those questions is, hey, one, how fast does your lender work? Two, is your lender going to be able to protect you if these rates keep going up? Because you don't want to find out 2 months from now that now this buyer doesn't qualify because rates have gone up another percentage point and their payment's too high to qualify.